Well, I think, our football team, coaches, our school, our fans are excited about the situation we're in. Kids have worked hard um, to get where we're at and getting a win in Lincoln, which is a difficult place to get a win. Put ourselves in a situation where, we said we wanted to be at the beginning of the year, and we've been able to overcome a lot from the injury status to a lot of things, and our kids have been resilient. They've played very, very hard. We made some mistakes along the line here and there, but it's never been effort. So we're going to have another outstanding effort. We're going to have to play very hard. It'll be the fourth game in a row that we're going to have to play very physical football, and we got to get our kids, get them into cold tubs and get those legs and shoulders ready to go. And then they're a challenge because they run the 3-4 scheme on defense. Number one team in the country, I believe, on defense, and so that speaks for that itself. And then you got the guy that's on another planet. So we got our work cut out for us, but looking forward to the challenge. So with that, any questions?
Jerry, you've had a lot of success wherever you've been. This is the biggest game since you've been here and in the Big Ten. What does this game mean to you?
Well, I think the big thing it means to all of us in the program, and it's just a stepping stone to where we want to get. And we came in 4 years ago. I said it'd take 7 years to truly get where we wanted to be. People would have to be patient. We're fortunate, things have moved along, a little bit faster than we thought, and that's a lot to do with the kids. You win with players, and our kids have listened, and we built them in the weight room, and everybody's done their part, and so it's a good step to be in. And I said we're still not where we need to be. We're not where we want to be, and we got to continue to recruit and get the program where it needs to be. But it's certainly the situation we put ourselves in this year certainly helps the recruiting part of it, no question about that. And then the other part, it helps our school, helps our state, all the publicity and everything that Minnesota's getting right now. You can't put a price on that, and it doesn't cost anything. So I mean, having a good football team, good football program can be very good, for our state also.
Do you have any more clarity on whether David Cobb?
He'll be questionable, very questionable. However, they got it. I told Ed and Doc Smith after the game, I don't care what you do. You spend day, night, 24/7. We'll worry about paying you later, whatever it costs. Is see what you can do. And so he's been working hard. David's been, when he's not in class, he's been down there, and he'll do everything he can to be ready. But that's a difficult injury to deal with. So, but they're going to try to jog him around a little bit today and see where he's at. But he's real questionable.
Jerry, is that partly you also trying to manage expectations? I mean, in a sense, he's been on Twitter and stuff saying he'll be ready, but is that just your way of making sure that?
Well, he should have the mindset. David's worked hard, and you've seen him at the game when he got hurt. I mean, he's all wrapped up and he's on the field. I mean, he wants to play. He's going to do everything he can. He's going to tell me that he's going to play. He's going to tell everybody he's going to play. And that's a great attitude, because sometimes the mind, if you're down and you're negative and all that, sometimes you don't heal up as quick. So I'm glad he's positive, and hey, if he's ready to go, we're going to play him. There's no doubt about that. So I'd rather have him feeling that way than not. And he told me that on the flight home. I said, "You doing okay, Coach? I ain't missing this one." So we'll see.
How does that change your offense if he's either limited or doesn't play?
Won't change it any. We got good backs. We proved that on Saturday. I mean, Donnell Kirkwood goes in, and he does a great job, great cut. Then Roderick, on the touchdown, man, he made a heck of a run. Had a great block by the fullback. So, I mean, we've had that all year. I mean, we didn't play without Antonio Johnson, the best, in my opinion, support safety, on the run, and didn't play with him last week. And we hadn't played with a lot of people, and that's what's really neat about this, is that, we got a lot of people that have had to step up. And that's what I mean. It's been a good team effort. always worry about the freshmen this time of the year. Said that last week. They're not used to the grind. You know, they're not used to playing this many games and playing. You know, Steve Richardson playing down in the trenches, and going, you know, last 3 games. I mean, that's tough. And you got school and all that other stuff that goes along. Getting up 6 in the morning, so it's a grind for those young men because they're not used to it, and some of the older kids are. So we just got to get everybody. We got to get their legs, we got to get their shoulders, and we got to get their minds, because we got a lot of learning to do from what they do. You know, and certainly on the offensive side of the ball, because they're 3-4 defense.
You talk about where you talk about where you need to be and where you are. Kind of seems like you are where you need to be. What's the difference? What are we talking about?
Well, to me, you got to do it year in, year out. Yeah, you know, and you got to, you know, you try to build a program where, you know, where I've been before. You know, once we got, you know, we're Southern Illinois. Once we got going and stayed consistent with it. And Northern, they're still winning, so I think we left a good program behind. And you know, I mean, I feel like we get a lot better this week. I mean, that's part of coaching. So, and we need to do a lot of things here to you know, it's really unbelievable what our kids have done, because again, we don't have the resources that some of the people that we're playing against, and then, you know, we need those resources to take that next step up, and that all involves with recruiting. You win with players.
You might have the best record in the country for adjusting at halftime and completely outplaying teams in the second half. It's unbelievable. I've been here for 143 years, and I've never seen a coach make some changes at halftime. And outside the TCU game, I think, is the only game, maybe Illinois, I don't know, that you can come back and stop the opposition in the second half.
Well, I think that, you know, that's a group issue, and you know, we work hard and we have the same system. So if there's something broken in that system, you know, we've been in it long enough, you can get it fixed, and maybe make an adjustment within the system, not drawing something up in the dirt. So I think our staff's always done a good job at that, and you know, the kids are responding, and we don't panic when you go in there. You know, we went into halftime in Nebraska and wasn't no screaming and yelling. It was some convincing. You know, like I told the kids, shoot, I've been a part of programs, been 28-30 down, and we've won. So don't panic, and we're playing pretty good, and we hadn't turned the ball over, and if we don't turn it over, we'll come back and win the game. I said, you know, they just had a break or two, and you know, and the kids just went out, and I think the big thing, we stay like this most time. Now, if I have to get after them, I will. If it's a lack of motivation and not playing hard, you know, but rarely with this group we've had to do that. They've done it. You know, we made some mental errors and made some mistakes, but as far as playing hard, they played very hard in all areas.
How often do you see a 3-4?
Not very often. Not very often. You know, we see a little bit of it. You know, people will mix it in. You know, but not a whole lot, and I think that's why they're good. And they know the 3-4. They're very good at making adjustments. They take the perimeter away. You know, they take your best plays and they scheme them up within what they do. They're quick and athletic, and just very, very well coached. I mean, very well coached. We just talked about an offensive staff room. Hey, you know, they're coached up. So we'll have to execute very well, you know, and we understand that. But we felt like we had to do that the last 3 ball games. So we just got to get in there and go to work and get some repetition.
You talk about this team being special. What's the one trait that sets this team apart from some of your others?
Well, I think what happened this summer, the closeness of the kids. You know, they did things on their own as a group, and Mitch Leitner took the offense and had them all there and kept them accountable. And somebody didn't show up, I didn't have to worry about anything. First of all, I couldn't, and he kept them. And then Cedric Thompson had the other group, and then, you know, we did team building stuff and all kinds of stuff to just make sure we brought our group together. And I guess the best example is running back. You know, Donnell Kirkwood's had a great attitude. Here's a senior. and he's not getting to play near as much he'd like to, but he respects the job David Cobb is doing. But then when he went in, he did his job, and he hasn't complained and moaned. And Roderick the same way. They're good backs, and so I just think they've sold into the team. Hey, let's have a good team, and we've always stressed. I stress that in recruiting. Hey, it's ain't about an individual. You can't. It's about the team. So I think they bought into that.
The way your players talk after games and leading up to games, there's clearly just more confidence there than there has been in the past. When did you start to see some of those signs?
I think probably, it started last year. Once that, we beat Penn State, Nebraska, and you call those the helmet schools. And sometimes you run out of even at Christmas. And I think we did that for a while, but I think the Michigan game was a significant, win. That was on the road, at the big house, and I think, that was the start of Michigan's struggle, and then going to Lincoln and winning in that environment. So I think there's been a lot of defining moments, but you probably got to go all the way back to Northwestern through all the adversity, how the kids respond to that. That was a huge win in the program.
Jerry, a lot of fans have been talking about how big this game is. Some saying maybe since the 60s. Have you been hearing from fans or former players about the magnitude of this weekend's game?
Yeah, there's I don't know how many emails and text messages. I try to live in a bubble. I really do. And so I'm trying to do my darndest, but also got to get ready for the game. You got to draw the line. But I think those people understand. I just think they're letting me know. And but I think we all know that, and so forth, and what it means, the border battles, all those things. If you remember right, at the early in the year, I said for us to win a championship or have the opportunity, we'd have to beat the border schools. I said that a long time ago. So we've been able to beat one, and now we have the opportunity, to play for something that we had to win in Lincoln to have that opportunity. And so we did that. We've done our job, and now we go, and what a great Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for. Yeah, we really do.
Tailback's such a rhythm position. Well, Kirkwood had the big year 2 years ago, and the carries you've seen since then, it seems like he's had flashes. But is that a byproduct of just a guy who, if he was getting Cobb's number of carries, he might still have that production?
Well, I think that the big thing with Donnell right now is that he's focused. He wants to be a coach, and Roderick he's unique. If you watch him on kickoff, he's run over everybody on kickoff. He's just a physical kid, and he's just a big kid that just plays. So, I mean, he's always in rhythm. And then with Donnell is that, you just don't ever underestimate those kids. And I'm sure that he gets his number called on, and Roderick, that we'll be fine. I mean, I've got confidence in them. They've all played. And they're all three different backs, and Berkeley's different, and Berkeley, hopefully he'll be able to play. That's a question mark also. So, I've got confidence in those kids. I mean, they showed that on Saturday. And plus, they should be fresh-legged, too. I mean, look at that, from a different perspective.
What's your reaction to how Wisconsin's going to handle the Axe on Saturday?
Well, again, I live in a bubble, and I don't know if it's you came down and told me or something, you texted to me or something like that, and, I haven't really – I've worried more about our game because I've got, don't mean we got to, we hadn't beat them in, 10 years? And it was supposed to be a rivalry. Sooner or later you got to win, to make it a rivalry. I mean, and so I've concentrated more on that. Whatever their policy is going to be and I've read quickly through it before I came in and so forth, is if there's anything to do with the safety of the player and safety of the game, that's what we're supposed to do. And you don't want to lose some player, for the next week and does something stupid or so forth, because kids are kids. They're going to play with intensity and so forth. So, I don't know how that policy came in effect. I don't know, I know why, because I don't even know completely why. I think that happened before I was even here, some things. So, you know, I respect Coach Alvarez, and I'm sure he's really the one that, you know, he's the athletic director, and so.
You mentioned Melvin Gordon being on another planet. How do you start the game plan against a guy like that?
Well, the biggest thing is you got to fit perfect. They got a good offensive line. We don't talk about that enough. They're good up front, and you know, you've got to fit those gaps perfectly. You can't let him run through. You can't let the O-line open up a gap like that and get to a safety one-on-one. I mean, he's made everybody miss. You know, there ain't nobody stopped him, including LSU. And the kid has just been on fire. So we're going to have to, you know, I made the statement, and when he gets lane, slow to the hole, and then he just accelerates. And I mean, he can get through about anything. He's like a missile, and we better get him deactivated before he gets up there. I mean, we better, before he gets through the hole, we better be able to close it and make him have to bounce and be able to squeeze him in. But I don't think nobody's stopped him. And I, you know, it's one of those things. He's going to get some yards, and we got to make sure nobody else does anything. And that's the, you know, they get the passing game going, and you know, zone read going, and then plus him going. That's not a good deal. So, you know, and then we got to keep him from having the 70 and 80-yard runs. I mean, I think he's a lot like, again, I wasn't here. I've eaten dinner with him and watched him play, Lawrence Maroney. I believe I don't know how many 70-yard runs he had, but he had a bunch of them. Is that correct? And I think that's probably a lot like this kid. So, I mean, great player. Got her hands full, but you know what? That's what life's about. Got a great challenge. Looking forward to it and seeing what happens.
We have time for about one more.
What was your evaluation of the blocked field goal?
Great play by their guy. I mean, it had nothing to do with it. I mean, we had good protection and all that stuff. I don't know if you've seen that young man before. He went out there, but that defensive end's about 6'5", and his arms hung about down to there. And then when you can get some push and jump up, and you know, they did a good job when you're blocking a field goal. You know, you want to get in the fly to the ball. You know, so they didn't have him on the left because right-footed kicker's ball's going to come here. So they had him right where the fly of the ball was, and he jumped up with that big old long hook. And it, you know, it was a little bit this side, a little bit that, and he wouldn't have got it. But he just made a heck of a play. Made a great play. And, you know, the only thing that we could have done, and we got to do a better job coaching, but, you know, when Ryan you know, we got to work with our kicker and some of the guys on the angle of pursuit. You know, we were running our tail end off, but we needed to get Ryan all the way, just run him all the way to the boundary as hard as he can get to turn that thing back in. And through that, you know, those are little things you learn to make sure, you know, that they understand that. So that's little things. Great play, but we need to tackle it, and we got to take better angles, and we got to make sure we coach that better. Thank you. Appreciate it.